The Japanese occupation from 1942 to 1945 marked a significant break in the historical development of Singapore. For the overwhelming majority, the occupation of Singapore, or Shonan-to, the Light of the South as it was called by the Japanese, is remembered as an era of darkness. For 3.5 years, the inhabitants of the island experienced unprecedented levels of scarcity and suffering. Yet, beyond the tribulations of war and occupation, the period ushered transformative socio-political changes in Singapore's society. For many Indians in Singapore, the interlude afforded a sense of mission. Singapore under the new regime would function as the nerve center of the Indian independence movement in East Asia, with the Indian National Army or INA as its military wing and the Indian Independence League or IIL as its civilian political arm. The early connection between Japanese forces, the INA and the IIL provided a protective veneer for Indians during the Japanese pacification of Singapore that followed. In February and March 1942, Japanese soldiers committed wanton ravage, and the murderous Suk Ching saw the slaughter of tens of thousands of Chinese inhabitants in Singapore and the peninsula. Indians were spared from the worst of the atrocities, but fear resonated everywhere. This gallery surveys the participation of Indians in Singapore in anti-colonial and sub-ethnic movements from the early 20th century and their wartime experiences. Here are 5 artifacts typifying these experiences. Echoes of the anti-colonial and sub-ethnic movements in the subcontinent arrived in Singapore with the visits of Indian leaders, capturing the imagination of the diaspora. K. Ramasamy Thevar worked at the Raffles Hotel for 44 years, eventually rising to the post of chief receptionist. In his possession was the autograph book pictured here. Because of his position at the front desk of the Raffles Hotel, a venue visited by many dignitaries passing by Singapore, he managed to secure the signatures of several of them. Among these is a page showing the signatures of Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru and his daughter Indira Nehru, later known as Indira Gandhi, during their visit in 1937. A later edition in 1954 shows the signature of Nehru's sister Vijayalakshmi Pandit on the same page. Kishore Bhattacharya came to Singapore and joined the Tokyo Cadets under Colonel Loganathan. However, after 2 weeks, he was sent to the Seletar camp for a Japanese interpreter's class. From there, he moved to the Balak Sena as he was underage to be an INA cadet at the time. After passing out of the Balak Sena, he was sent to the Azad Hind School in Penang. He then joined the Indian National Army there. However, the war ended before his posting to Burma came about. His uncle C.D. Bhattacharya had also joined the INA and had served in Burma. Bala A. Chandran, Girish Kotari and Kishore Bhattacharya were amongst the last surviving INA veterans in Singapore. Here you see a photograph of the Tokyo Cadets. Born in Malaysia, Janaki Thevar hailed from an affluent family of Indian origin. At the age of 17 in 1943, she attended a public rally by Netaji at Kuala Lumpur. Thoroughly inspired at the end of the rally, she removed her gold ornaments and donated them to the cause of Indian freedom. She later joined the Rani of Jhansi regiment and rose to the level of captain and second in command of the regiment of the INA. Part of the force that fought the British in the India-Burma border, Janaki Thevar was also one of the surviving members of the INA contingent that was bombed while retreating from Mandalay to Bangkok by foot in 1945. Here is a studio photograph that is quite rare of Janaki Thevar in her INA uniform. On 15th February 1942, Japanese military forces occupied Singapore following the defeat of the British and Allied forces. During the Japanese occupation, Indian soldiers of the British Army were taken prisoners, recruited for the Indian National Army, and sometimes deported to concentration camps. Some of these prisoners of war were assigned by the Japanese to work on the Thailand-Burma Death Railway. The Indian community also initiated evacuation efforts led by leaders of Indian organizations such as S.C. Goho and Rajabali Jumaboy, as well as community leaders such as Fida Hussain Muhammad Ali Nakhoda. However, these journeys were often perilous and several sea-bound vessels were attacked by Japanese submarines plying the Straits of Malacca and the Bay of Bengal. Those who reached India safely were accorded refugee status, and several Indian families stayed in India throughout the duration of the war. This bag, made of parachute cords, is a rare survival from the war years when Mrs. Abidali wove it under conditions of strife in Bombay when she was taking refuge there during the war. The family returned to Singapore after the war. G. Sarangapani was the editor of the Tamils Reform Association's media wing, the Tamil Murasu. Sarangapani promoted the importance of literacy, modernization, and even reformist marriages. He was a champion of the Tamil language and played a crucial role in campaigns promoting Tamil as one of Singapore's 4 official languages. G. Sarangapani encouraged local Tamils to embrace Singapore as their home and live harmoniously with non-Indians in Singapore, hence laying the foundation for a new generation of Singaporean Indians. He worked tirelessly to unite all the Tamils regardless of caste, class and religion. His social reform efforts required him to work with other races to bring about changes to the Tamil community. To deter the perpetuation of toxic Indian social norms of caste, he personally conducted the weddings of couples from different castes. G. Sarangapani understood the need to create a casteless society and sought to propagate it among the immigrant Indians. G. Sarangapani supported the self-respect marriage system, which provided an avenue for inter-ethnic, inter-religious and inter-caste weddings. In 1937, he married a 19-year-old Lim Bun Nyo, a Chinese Peranakan woman. Although there was a 15-year age difference between them, their unusual love story withstood the test of time and society's disapproval. In 1957, he took the Singapore citizenship oath and became an official Singapore citizen. Till his death in 1974, he pursued his goal of getting immigrants to lay down roots here in Singapore.